We are fortunate here on Ankahi TV that Barrister Daud Ghaznavi is here with us visiting to Houston. He came with the Supreme Court judge, Aisha, which our good friend Maha has brought this arrangement. And we are lucky to have him here today. And after this interview, we're going to take him to Jinnah Library, a library with the father of the nation, a small contribution of our historian to that. And we'll get to that later. But Ghazi Sahab, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
You know, you have been well known for education, democracy, democratic process. A country cannot be legendary country without a democratic process. A democratic process makes a country great. And to achieve that, your contribution for the role of overseas Pakistani, how can they get involved in the democratic process in Pakistan? But more than important is, how can overseas Pakistan can help in any way Pakistan? And I would like you to share with us how you can put forward the cause of Pakistanis whose soul is in Pakistan and they love motherland and to want to help motherland. And so far they have not been successful to do the service they want to do it. And they have few hurdles, few democratic hurdles. It is my opinion that you have worked in this area a lot for the overseas Pakistani. Share with our viewers, what do you think about that?
First of all, very much thankful, Qadeer Saab. I knew that you came, a lot of events which we have done in Houston.
Yes.
And that's really, I still have your pictures with me.
Yeah, thank you.
I showed it to Maha.
I'm glad that you do consider Houston as a place of home.
It is like that.
Right.
Fortunate thing is that I moved back to Pakistan in 2011 from England. I was studying over there for 9 years. So when I moved back to Pakistan, it was a kind of judicial activism in Pakistan at that time was going on. And many lawyers and different civil societies, they were reaching out to Supreme Court for a lot of different cases. So I was fortunate enough that I got a ticket to run elections in Sialkot in 2013 election. And that election was very, very engaging sort of elections. A lot of people from overseas, they were very interested to engage in that election, and people were going for change. That was the slogan at that time.
Right.
So when I went into elections, in Pakistan, if you see Sialkot is one of the base near Kashmir. And from there, we have a road called GT Road. And the GT Road goes from Sialkot towards Pindi. So this is the whole belt, GT Road belt. In this belt, there are like 67 National Assembly seats. And in this belt of road, I mean like 35% of Pakistanis, they live abroad. So you can see whenever the elections happen in these cities, overseas influence naturally is so much. So whenever I was going out for campaign, a lot of families who are living abroad, they were calling their families back home that you should vote for certain party. So this is when I realized that overseas are engaging so much in Pakistan elections. And the second thing was that due to social media and the way the campaign was built up.
Right.
So after the elections, I found that there was one judgment on overseas Pakistani to have the right to vote. But that judgment was never been implemented.
Right.
So I started my journey with the Islamabad High Court. Then I reached out to Islamabad Election Commission of Pakistan.
Right.
And then finally we went to the Supreme Court.
Right.
So in 2016, it was like a wave for 2018 election. And again, overseas were very much matured.
Right.
And they were very much politically aware. And they saw a platform where they can exercise their right to vote. So this is how we went to Supreme Court.
Right.
So in Supreme Court, at that time, there was Saqib Nisar, Justice Ijazul Hasan, and Umar Ata Bandial.
Right.
So this was the bench who start hearing this case again. So at that time, mechanism was drafted. I mean, like 22 million rupees or dollars were being, spent on that mechanism, and that was electronic mechanism.
Right.
So that was the first time in 2018 elections that overseas Pakistani had a mechanism to work on. So the only thing was that they need to have some pilot testing, and then afterwards they start doing it on a small basis. But what happened when the PTI government came in, they passed a law.
Right.
So the Supreme Court judgment was implemented into a law of act of parliament. When the PTI government went off in 2021, the first two bills which they came up with was, taking off the overseas Pakistani right to vote,
Right.
and there was another bill. So then again, I reached out to the Islamabad High Court.
Right.
This is where our, I think that the case was dismissed by the Chief Justice Islamabad High Court. Then
Right.
we went back again to the Supreme Court. So now this case is back in the constitutional bench of the Supreme Court. So during that process of 10 years,
Right.
I have roamed around America a lot and, European countries. And I found that the understanding of political awareness in overseas is way much stronger than people in Pakistan. Because in overseas, you have more opportunity to speak out,
Right.
and you have more opportunity to understand.
Right.
People had an argument that if a person is living in Houston, how would they know their candidate way back in Sialkot?
Right.
But now everything, who doesn't know Khwaja Asif in this city?
Right.
Even from Karachi, people
Right.
know where Khwaja Asif is from. So what happened is with the overseas vote, what happened is that people connect with their city.
Right.
This is one of the best way to connect and bridge people to their land.
Right.
You don't have to vote, if you are from Karachi, you don't have to vote in Samrial.
Right.
You can go back where your Nadra card has been telling you on the permanent address.
Right.
So this is how I found that this is one of the best way
Yes.
to connect overseas Pakistanis with Pakistan. So that idea is very strong. I wrote a book on that.
Right.
And Supreme Court was very strong on this argument, even
Right.
today.
Even
But
today.
but the problem is that the way the legislation comes in, it blocks the mechanism to get in. I mean, I saw the same people of Election Commission who were with me 8 years before, when at that time they used to say the mechanism can be in place. But now they're coming in the Supreme Court and they've been saying, oh, we tried everything, but it's not working. So this is how this case is right now.
I had a chance of discussing the same subject with Sayyid Qamar Raza, who is the chairman of Overseas Foundation. And he suggested that he is trying to put forward that at least the 10 million people who are the expatriate Pakistanis, they should be allocated 10 seats or nominated 10 seats. So that those people who excel in their own professional field, like those people who do a lot of petrochemical area, agro-pharma, medicine, engineering, geography, and those people who know a lot of this mining, that such people who have excelled in this country can go back, serve there to help Pakistan. And he had a overseas conference in Islamabad also.
Recently.
What do you think about having at least, to begin with, having 10 seats allocated for overseas Pakistanis to serve Pakistan so that they are part of the discussion what is happening in Pakistan?
I think Qamar Raza's organization, they worked with me on this overseas case. One of their person was one of my petitioner in the Supreme Court for overseas right to vote. This opinion which he has made after he has become the Overseas Foundation chairman. I think to have a representation for overseas is not what overseas is looking for, to be honest with you. If you ask for representation, we have so much qualified people in overseas that you cannot condense them into 10 people. That will be unfair with the overseas as well, because we have extraordinary people in this country or even in Europe. I don't believe on this idea. Every single person as an overseas matters in Pakistan. So you should not condense them in the representation. This is not, this representation business has been tried by different countries. Even Italy has tried this. Even many Eastern European countries have tried, because many Eastern European people they live in America. So they try to have representation from these countries, rich people, rich oligarchs, to have representation in the parliament so they can bring out money back in their country. But this idea has been flopped. It has never been worked. The only idea which worked is by the Mexicans. There are 18 million Mexicans in this country. They allow their citizens to have the vote back in Mexico. You need to engage people. You don't need to engage professionals only. Yes, you can have technocrats, but that doesn't mean, what representation you want in Pakistan as an overseas? You don't need any representation. Yeah, as a technocrat, that's a great idea. You can take it. But for representation, that is not going to work. This is what I have experienced from other overviews. So I believe that the biggest representation is you let them exercise their view. That's the only way I believe can work.
Yeah, that's a very well said. What I request that if people have to be democratic, do you think the electronic voting process is the right way to go?
Well, countries like when we had this case in Supreme Court in 2018, Russia was being accused of meddling in American elections through different social media channels.
Right.
Yeah. So there was a huge cry by the government that we cannot have electronic, mechanism because of the cyber attacks. So anybody can hack into that, mechanism. This is true that electronic mechanism hasn't been successful around the globe. I think Americans have the most simplest thing. I filled up my father's paper ballot for the presidential elections, this election when he was in Pakistan. American simple postal ballot system is very simple. But the problem is that Pakistan has been arguing that with that postal ballot, you don't have a secrecy. Anybody can vote anywhere they like. And in Arab countries, you are always under certain kafiles.
Right.
Thousands of people can work in a different factory if those people's passports are under that person. So maybe that person can influence their choice. So that's why some of the time they say that these overseas are not in a free will states like Arab countries. And majority of Pakistanis live in the Arab countries. So what you can do is that you can start this thing in a very small fraction. You don't have to let 8 million overseas just to start voting. You just need to start with a small fraction. I think so. This is how they can start. But they don't have the will to do it. Yeah.
Very good. What is the message for the overseas Pakistanis if they want to participate to help Pakistan?
Yes. I actually came today just to see you for that, what we are planning to do. So I think I'm currently working on a book. Yeah. And this is my personal experience from the last 10 years, what I see the overseas can be the most effective. I think overseas Pakistanis need to be strong enough to influence American politics. And that doesn't mean you just need only to have a congressman in American Congress. Yeah, that's a great idea. But I think we need to learn from different diasporas here that how they have made their place in Washington, D.C.,
right,
how they can engage together. We don't have any foundation or organization which have over 20 or 30,000 members. So if you don't have that kind of organization in D.C., I think you don't have any voice. When this thing happened between India and Pakistan, one thing which both countries did was both countries hired lobbyists. Okay? India has a very strong diaspora organization in Washington, D.C. So that organization is working separately. Indian government is working separately. We have a very small, hand-picked, self-proclaimed leaders in America who just want to make up their friendship with the congressmen, but no productive work is being getting done. So I believe that we need to have a very strong organization in DC. And remember, Pakistan is the 5th largest diaspora as a nationality in America.
Right.
And we are number 9th as the best earning nationalities in America. We have money, we have education,
right,
but the only thing we don't have a plan.
Right.
So I believe that the best thing is that, because the biggest crisis coming next is the water crisis in Pakistan,
Yes.
the Indus Water Treaty. And India is already, the diaspora is working with different congressmen, even now. Not their government, but the diaspora.
That brings to a very interesting. You know, in
Yeah.
1960,
Yeah.
President Ayub Khan and Jawaharlal Nehru
Yeah.
signed a Indus Treaty.
Yeah.
They described that there are western rivers
Yeah.
and there are eastern rivers. And the western river was Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab,
Yes.
and the eastern were Ravi, Satluj, and Beas.
Bias, yeah.
And Satluj, Beas were in control of India, and the waters of the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab will be under control of. They can hopefully can put a dam,
Yes.
but they cannot reduce or divert the water. And this treaty has lasted over 50 years. And recently we have heard some news from India that they unilaterally want to not honor that treaty.
Yes.
You as attorney, as a barrister, you know international law,
Yeah.
international water, and this is a life and death for Pakistan.
Well-
And my question to you is, how does the international law
Yeah.
looks upon these treaties, which are an American is part of the signatory of that?
Well, actually, the treaty between India and Pakistan on the water, this Indus Water Treaty, both countries were not getting decided in 1960s that who's gonna get what share. So then World Bank, Pakistan invited World Bank to be in between the two countries and become a guarantor. So now the World Bank is a guarantor. But another thing which I'm trying to tell you again, World Bank in some ways do get influenced by Congress as well, because it does come under United Nations. So my opinion is that not only the Pakistani government lobbying is going to work heavily on World Bank. I think people like you, I saw a picture of Sheila Jackson downstairs. People like you need to come forward and need to get engaged with all those interest groups in Washington, D.C. to explain your narrative. Washington is like Rome. It's the current Rome of the world. People go and express their ideas. People market their country's interest. So I really feel, and what I believe is because I've been in touch with a lot of people in Washington, D.C. who really watch Pakistan, crisis and interest. But I see they are not aware Pakistan side of the story. So I think so, rather than just spending so much on congressmen for their own, well-being, it's important to explain your narratives. So I believe that in the coming months, the biggest thing is going to come up is water.
Yes.
And I believe for water, we have a lot of Pakistanis who are very much expert in international law. They understand the water issues. But I think we are not organized. So we need to be organized. That is the main important thing.
That's the best message I've heard from Barrister Daud, that we need to get organized, and
Yes.
we will, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And we will not back down on the water treaty.
Yeah.
It's a treaty which has been signed, and the guarantor is World Bank,
Yes.
as you have been explained correctly, that we will do everything possible within our means to lobby and to make understand that India and Pakistan should abide by the treaty they did it
Yes.
50 years ago.
Yes.
And World Bank is the guarantor of that.
Yes.
I want to thank once again
Thank you.
to Barrister Daud, who has spent his time for valuable advice.
Yeah.
And we'll take him to the Jinnah Library,
Inshallah.
in which we have over 250 books on Jinnah,
Yeah.
a largest collection under one roof here in Houston. And we want to thank
Thank you.
Ankahi TV for your presence here today.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Assalamu
much.
alaikum.